I never thought a moment like that could change everything. My name is Eleanor, and for years, I lived a life I believed was quiet, stable, even predictable. I married Harold when I was 36. He was dependable, the kind of man who liked order, schedules, and silence during dinner. He'd been married before, and from that marriage came his son, James. James was in college when I married his father. He only visited during holidays and short breaks. Our interactions were polite, cordial, but never close. I was just the woman who married his dad. Then that summer arrived, the one that changed everything. Harold had gone out of town for a conference, one of those long, week-long financial planning retreats he loved so much. The house felt emptier than usual. I remember the stillness in the air, the kind of silence that presses against your ears and forces you to notice your own heartbeat. James returned unexpectedly that Tuesday afternoon. I heard the front door creak open as I stood in the hallway in a light robe, just out of a long shower. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I turned the corner and saw him standing there with his bag slung over his shoulder and that easy smile, I felt something unfamiliar stir inside me. He looked different, older, sharper. His jaw had lost that boyish roundness, and his eyes had grown more certain. I smiled back politely, clutching the robe tighter around me. "James, I didn't know you were coming. Dad said I could crash here while my place is being fumigated. I figured you'd be out with him." "No, he left for a week. Business trip." James raised a brow. "So, just us here, huh?" Something in the way he said it made my breath catch. I waved it off with a nervous chuckle and went to my room. I told myself I was overthinking things, that he was just being friendly. The next few days passed in subtle tension. Every glance lingered longer than it should. Every conversation seemed laced with a subtext I couldn't decipher. One night, I made pasta for dinner, and as we sat across from each other at the small kitchen table, James leaned in and said, "You always smell like vanilla and flowers. It's kind of comforting." I blinked. "That's just my lotion." "Well, it's working." That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, haunted by the quiet hum of what I was beginning to feel. I was old enough to know better. Old enough to resist it. But when I looked in the mirror, I saw a woman who hadn't been truly seen in years. Not by Harold. Not by anyone. The real moment, that moment, came on a Thursday afternoon. The windows were open, the breeze was warm, and I was folding laundry in my room. The sunlight poured in, bathing everything in a soft glow. I didn't hear the door open at first. I only realized someone was there when I felt a shadow stretch across the floor. "You should probably close your clothes," James said, his voice low, almost hesitant. I looked up, confused, only to see his gaze not on my face, but lower. My robe had slipped slightly, revealing more than I realized. In that moment, everything inside me froze, except my heartbeat, which thundered in my ears. But it wasn't his words that undid me. It was the look in his eyes. There was something raw there. Something honest. Something dangerous. I opened my mouth to speak, to tell him to leave, but my voice caught. Then my gaze, against my will, flicked downward, and I saw it. That subtle sign, undeniable. My breath hitched. "James," I whispered, barely able to say his name. He took a step forward. "I know it's wrong. But I can't stop thinking about you. The way you smile. The way you laugh when you're not trying to. It's been driving me crazy." I backed up instinctively, my legs brushing the edge of the bed. "You shouldn't say that." "But it's true. And you feel it too, don't you?" I looked away. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to say it was a misunderstanding, that I was just lonely, just flattered, just caught up. But that would be a lie. Because in that stillness, that suspended moment of tension, I felt like I was on the edge of something electric. Something alive. His hand touched mine. Just a brush. It felt like fire. Tell me to go, he whispered, and I will. But if you say nothing, I'll stay right here. I didn't say a word. My silence was the loudest answer I'd ever given. And then we were flying. Not in the way of wings or wind, but in sensation. The air between us shimmered with things unsaid, things forbidden, things that made it all the more intoxicating. Every moment after that felt like floating, weightless, reckless, beautiful. We never spoke about what happened. Not directly. But everything changed. The glances became touches. The silence became understanding. There was a quiet storm between us, a secret wind only we could feel. One night, we sat on the back porch as the stars burned above us. He passed me a cup of coffee and said, "I don't know where this goes." "Me neither," I said, fingers brushing his. But for the first time, I feel alive. It wasn't about lust. Not really. It was about being noticed. Being wanted. Being remembered. For years, I'd been invisible. To Harold. To the world. But James looked at me like I mattered. Like I wasn't just someone's second act. When Harold returned, things quieted down again. James left 2 days later, but something lingered. A memory. A secret. A feeling neither of us could shake. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd said no. If I'd stopped it. But every time I close my eyes and remember the way he made me feel, weightless, seen, desired, I know I wouldn't change a thing. We knew it was wrong. That's exactly why it felt so right. And in the echo of that forbidden connection, I learned something I never expected, that sometimes, the heart doesn't care about rules. It only wants to fly.